Episode 21, 1869 National Peace Jubilee, Part 4. Let us have peace. With 50,000 people each day and over 400,000 in Boston, 1,000 musicians and 10,000 singers. Yeah, there wasn't much chance of peace in Boston. Boston was overflowing with people, and after the first 2 days I mentioned before, the news spread like wildfire across the country that this was an event that people shouldn't miss. Telegrams were sent home suggesting that people sell up, raise the money and get on the first train to Boston. This was bigger then than the Super Bowl or the Olympics are today, and people were absolutely delighted. So, back to episode 21. We're in part 4 and the last few days of the National Peace Jubilee and its conclusion. Hope you've enjoyed it so far and can feel the atmosphere to some degree from the narration and pictures that I've put up. Please click like and subscribe to this channel, and also tell your friends that you feel would like to hear about this American success story. And talking about an American success story, as I'm now recording this on July the 4th, can I wish everyone a very happy and peaceful, happy Independence Day. Remember those concerns about the safety of the children? Well, later on, I'm going to tell you what exactly happened with their concerns. And so, back to this story. Remember when I described the first 2 days of in last week's episode about day 3, June the 17th. That was the anniversary of Bunker Hill and memories of those who died to establish the nation 94 years ago. The general feeling were that from the previous day, that's day 2, the crowd numbers couldn't be beaten. But how wrong they could be, because day 3, estimates are that upwards of 250,000 people attended. Imagine. By 1 to 2 p.m., the Coliseum couldn't take any more people, and so people crowded around. The performance today was, according to the newspapers, the most technically advanced and would exceed the expectations of the people, both from north and south. A local newspaper, the Barnstable Patriot, reported that the third day was indeed patriotic in content and rich in military themes. And, of course, nationwide, Gilmore has been praised for his creation of a wonderful event that couldn't be ignored. And for the record, the pieces for the day were Overture from Frau Dieval by Ober, Judgment Hymn by Luther, Grand March by Janata, Aria Ronbert Toi que j'aime by Meyerbeer, Anvil Chorus, Overture Triumphal, March Militaire by Bilse, Star Spangled Banner, Aria for Trumpet by Mercadante, Harp that Once Through Tara's Halls by Thomas Moore, Stradella Overture by Flatow, and finishing on Choral 100th Psalm. Onwards to day 4. And day 4 didn't have as many people in attendance as the previous day, but the newspapers reported that there were at least 6,000 extra people standing inside the Coliseum with thousands outside still. And remember, 6,000 extra brings it up to 56,000 inside and whatever the number was outside. During the earlier intermission, the wonderful Eben Turget, who was the superintendent of the chorus, had personally auditioned, selected, trained, and prepared the choral voices to perform as one great instrument harmony. So he circulated a letter amongst the chorus. The letter outlined his delight with the glorious musical success that had just been achieved. He continued that through your appreciative endeavours, the musical pulse of the whole nation has been quickened as never before. In addition, he felt the cultivation of musical taste, the development of love and the beauty of the art. This enterprise could not decay. Understandably, he was both proud of his contribution and humbled by the experience, and he knew that American music had been changed now forevermore. And afterwards, the final hymn for the day was Hallelujah Chorus from the Messiah by Handel. And the audience rose to their feet en masse in order to get the full effect of the grand ensemble. It was more than grand. It was sublime. The effect was great, and the wonderful Coliseum was filled with the musical satisfaction as they reluctantly left the hall full, complete with braves and semi-braves and tones from all the dulcet symphonies from within. Day 5. The day of much argument prior to the event, chiefly from the school board. There were few empty seats this day, with a choir full of 7,000 children divided into 3 parts, with the boys in the middle and the girls on either side. The children, whilst under the direction of the music committee, which also included physical exercises in their performance, which was a unique aspect of the event. These exercises were completed in unison, which resulted in a kaleidoscope of form and colour, which mesmerized the audience, particularly those unaware of the gymnastic content of education in Boston schools in 1869. P S Gilmore was presented afterwards with an elegant Waltham Company gold hunting case watch and chain at the end of the concert. The National Peace Jubilee for the Civil War had concluded, and peace was restored to America. Well, no. On June the 29th, the grand testimonial day was offered to P S Gilmore himself, and it had been agreed much earlier on amongst the organisers that the only benefactors from this occasion would be the widows and orphans of the Union and the P S Gilmore for his commitment of time, money and health to ensure the project's success. So when the date was publicised that this day was going to be given over to the dedication to Gilmore, there was few arguments from any quarter. So how was the Jubilee viewed at the time? As a success or as a failure? Well, let's remember, before the event there had been doubts which had disappeared in time as the event came closer to Boston doors, and as the event continued, it became clear still that Gilmore's vision had been crystal clear and so very, very accurate. It became difficult not to believe that some divine intervention hadn't interceded on his behalf and given him a heavenly boost in success. Such was the overwhelming triumph that all experienced in Back Bay, Boston during those few days in June of 1869. The P S Gilmore Peace Jubilee had been a massive success. The New World had been shown, the Old World had been shown by the New World a concert that never was even envisaged in Europe. Gilmore had been met with sneers and rebuffs, and some had derided him as a crazy man. The merchants of the city had given their complete support and commitment. Collectively, Boston, Massachusetts, and its people had made this dream happen, a dream that P S Gilmore had thought of originally. The Providence Journal newspaper had stated that the entire musical was a prodigious success beyond the expectations of anyone in the field of music. The Springfield Republican praised the power of the event and particularly the wonderful chorus. But in New York, where the sneers of jealousy against Boston were never far from the quill, new gasps of opinion were filtering through to some journals, if somewhat begrudgingly. Rich praise from the New York Tribune, who devoted 2 complete columns to an article entitled Peace Jubilee Summed Up. The article included such comments as, "A ridiculous plan redeemed by a magnificent success," and "Whether the festival was considered very good or not, it musically did good." It continued, "The Jubilee had caused hundreds of choral societies to spring into existence for the time being, many of which will become permanent, and thousands now have faith in music who never did have much before." The New York Daily Tribune devoted 2 columns praising the complete project without reservation. Boston, famed for music and fine culture, was thoroughly in sympathy with Gilmore and committed to the project. Earlier on, Mr. Gilmore had obstacles to deal with, but he had surmounted all obstacles placed before him and deserved praise for it. Throughout the country, newspapers printed in amazement about the extent of the Jubilee and its resultant successes. The Jewish Messenger newspaper of July the 2nd in New York, a weekly newspaper, had a lengthy letter to the editor on the subject, which asked the prophetic question, "Has our Gilmore failed in any of his promises? Can any New Yorker point out a single blemish on the program? A piece that has been omitted or substituted, an announcement that has been made or not carried into effect?" Its answer was convoluted, but it emphasized that for days we had had Jubilee this and Jubilee that, Jubilee hats, Jubilee ice cream, Jubilee books, Jubilee boots, and Jubilee drums. Where's the Jubilee now? And where will it be in a few months? Will we forget the Jubilee? And will Gilmore even be remembered? The article suggested that even though participants will be forgotten, even though Gilmore won't be remembered, even though its excitement will be a distant memory, its effects will live on. Now that the love of music has been firmly planted in the minds of Americans, it has brought so many people together that never realized that music of the highest order can be excellently well performed by an orchestra 100 times larger than any previous mammoth orchestras. The conclusion of all of this: the effects of the Peace Jubilee were incredible. Music would no longer remain the preserve of only those who had money or status. It would, however, filter to people across diverse populations interested in its soothing qualities. Choirs had been encouraged throughout the land. These participants kept and signed their books, their music scores, their tickets, and cherished them through the generations as one would keep a religious relic very, very carefully. They saw their participation as historic and memorable and were most proud of their contribution, particularly as part of the healing process for this wonderful country. Ibn Turget, that wonderful superintendent of music of the Jubilee, at the end of the proceedings realized that America had changed forever musically and proposed on June the 22nd in his last circular to the choirs that a national musical organization would be founded. He outlined the national, state and county structure. The chord just struck and which has produced such wondrous harmony must not cease to vibrate until the whole world shall see and feel the power of song to refine and elevate the heart. He proposed that a meeting take place in Boston Music Hall on September the 22nd, 1869, to form such an organization. What the results of such an effort were unclear at this stage, but certainly America had changed forever. Next week, we will find out the source of my research and the collection I have accumulated from this, the 1869 National Peace Jubilee alone. So, don't miss it. By the way, don't forget to click like and subscribe, and indeed share with your friends, family, and indeed anyone who likes a great American story. Bye.